I think they will evolve according to new trends in the global scenario. We had, to a large extent, reflected the evolution of the super cycle of commodities, which is now gone. And during the euphoric times of the super cycle of commodities, a lot of other opportunities of exchange have been left aside. Maybe it's time now to revisit them. I think, for instance, there is a huge potential of new relations in the case of agriculture, as well as in cross exploitation of opportunities associated with the natural resource. And to a large extent, this will depend on the willingness of both parties to overcome the previous model, which was based simply on finance and on bulk raw materials. There are some reasons of concern, particularly in the case that the current trends of bashing trade as an explanation for the hardships of low, middle income classes in advanced economies gets traction. Because if there is any surge in protectionism, and that applies not only to the US but also to Europe, that might kick on some sort of a trade war that would lead us all in the world to a worse place. Hopefully, the protectionist threats alluded to by President-elect Donald Trump were more of electoral pieces, and in practice, he might follow what people have called a soft Trump policy path. That would be the case if the protectionist threats round up to be simply arm twisting with some US corporate that trying to move them to reverse only partially their tendencies of outsourcing and so on. And in that case, the combination of a strong fiscal stimulus in the US might even be benign for the global economy because it would help, for instance, Europe to leave the quagmire in which it is currently. On the other hand, if the worst scenario, which would be the one with a hard Trump, becomes concrete, then we might run the risk of watching and suffering a global recession. So it's in the hands of what effectively the President-elect Trump does with the trade policy in the US, and also, of course, on the way by which the Eurozone also treats foreign trade. That's a very good question. I see two sides of the Atlantic dialogues. One is the mutual understanding of processes and policies, and I also see a side of communication among business people, so as to realize the opportunities that are out there for more intense relationships. The bottom line is that the economic relations between the two regions are, as of now, not fully exploited. That's something that one can realize. There are common problems, common challenges faced by both regions, and there is a lot of mutual learning that can take place. And there's also the possibility of support, of mutual support in the global arena, given the fact that we share many things in common in terms of views and interests with respect to the global international order. Look, I might say that Brazil is undergoing a quiet governance revolution. Not so quiet, but quite as compared to other revolutionary processes. But it is indeed a revolution in governance that may become a template for other non-advanced economies. And why I'm saying this? The whole corruption-based, bribery-based structure of governance in the relationship between the public and the private sectors is being underwhelmed, to say the least. And that might have some benign implications. I would highlight at least a threefold one. First, the perception of rule of law will change as a result of what's happening in Brazil. And that bears a reduction in business risk premium, in the sense that that might help private investment in the future from both nationals and non-nationals, in the sense that doing business becomes less, let's say, contaminated as compared to how it has been in the past. Secondly, there will be more competition on the private sector side in all those areas where there is an interface between the public and the private sectors. And because of the dismantling of the whole system of rigging competition that has prevailed, that has exists in the country for some time, and that has ramped up in recent years. So this is good in itself, because with enhanced competition, the search for efficiency, the efficiency-seeking behavior will be more prevalent in the country. And thirdly, since there will be less toll on public spending, the results per unit of public spending will be better. So the Brazilian productivity may certainly rise up tremendously as this process unfolds. The structure of incentives has become one in which the risk-weighted benefits vis-a-vis costs of undergoing rigging and corrupting officials has changed dramatically for the better. So if I'm right in that perception, even if it's a painful process in the short term, even if it has intensified the recession in Brazil because of the dismantling of markets and disruption of markets and the impact on very important Brazilian large private groups, on the other hand, the medium to long term scenario is one, as I said, of higher efficiency and higher competition. In this sense, although a Brazilian process, it may become a template for many other emerging areas, in the sense that it will show that it's possible to change governance of a country without necessarily having social turmoil.